The rate of evolution on our planet is accelerating at an unprecedented rate, and it's forcing us into a mode of understanding what kind of evolutionary pattern is really being shaped for humanity, and what do we do about it? Because there's two ways in which this new evolutionary cycle can evolve. Either humanity chooses to adopt a more conscious evolutionary approach, seeing that all developments, including the advent of new technologies like AI, can support the conscious experience, which involves an integrative state of thinking and feeling and spiritual synchronization, which allows for harmonizing with the natural world as well as all of these new developments. Or we get thrown off of our point of equilibrium and feel derailed from our higher level evolutionary process, feeling like these new technologies are not supporting the conscious way of living. And that can make us feel victim to all of these new processes that are unfolding. But the thing is, collective evolution isn't going to slow down whether or not we choose to be part of this evolutionary wave. What we're all being called to do is to rise up to the understanding of why we all chose to be here, living through this incredible experience in which humanness is taking on a new definition. The possibilities are endless because we now have tools to support new kinds of innovation and development of our individual abilities and purpose that didn't even exist in the past. So this right now is an opportunity to choose between victim consciousness or the most empowered stance that a human can possibly take on, in which they choose to see that everything happening around them reflects their opportunity to be part of this collective evolution. And to support you standing up powerfully, here are 7 rules that you can adopt to live a more conscious lifestyle yourself. Number 1, learn to work with your inner state, meaning take full responsibility for your inner world and all of its workings, which include your thinking patterns, your intentions, your attention, your interests, and what you invest energy and time into, because all of that is going to create the output of your lived experience. Whenever you feel that something is off in the world around you, that is an opportunity for you to enhance your connection to your inner state. And most importantly, this is a time now for all of us to redefine anything that we no longer feel is conducive to our own personal evolutionary process. So if you feel that there is anything that you wish to cast blame on towards somebody else that might have created that negative backdrop that you now relate to in your inner world, this is your time to change the way that you see this situation, to let go of all resistance toward past stimuli, experiences, people, trauma, and situations that no longer allow you to continue with the new wave of evolutionary possibilities. And allowing yourself to make this change will allow you to be in control of your highest potential, which is really what we're all called to do most. Attention is one of the most valuable commodities in this day and age. So recognize that although you might feel like you are sometimes a commodity via the eyes of a corporation, a system, or any structure outside of you, you controlling your inner state ultimately marks the control of your consciousness, which nobody and nothing can seize if you allow yourself to fully be invested in that self-awareness. Your investment into yourself is the most valuable investment that you can make because it guarantees your security and that self-love, which is the ultimate protection during this age in which awareness is easily stolen by distractions and all kinds of ways that people easily fall victim to because they're not ultimately in control of their consciousness. Number 2, emotional intelligence. Understand what's happening around you and understand why it's happening. As soon as you feel like something happening outside of you is happening to you in a way that you perceive it as a threat or a foreign situation that you can do nothing about, you immediately victimize yourself. You put yourself in that position of helplessness and you don't allow yourself to formulate a positive solution. It's important to use your emotional intelligence to understand the real meaning of life and every single opportunity that can be made available to you as soon as you seek those underlying connections. Seek to keep wisdom and soulfulness alive by allowing yourself to communicate those subtle truths that your soul is constantly transmitting into your field, through you, to other people, and to allow yourself to connect with those that truly understand you on a deeper level. Although it might seem like this present day and age is hijacking meaning, soulful connections, and the deeper understanding of what we're all here for, we must not allow ourselves to buckle under this pressure and simply give up our connection to what matters most. We can instead use even all of the problematic aspects that we're identifying in the world around us to understand what we want to do individually to keep spirit alive, to allow ourselves to find meaning and to enrich the lives of others by communicating with and through our true essences what we believe in most, which involves safeguarding sacred values like love, empathy, kindness, compassion, honesty, and integrity to allow for the perseverance of these fundamental aspects of consciousness, which can easily be compromised if we lose track of what is most important in our identities. Allow yourself to see that emotional intelligence is what allows for the conscious experience to continue. So let yourself not just think and feel into possibilities, but actually let yourself emotionally connect in those ways that allows that potential to be made into a reality that you share with others as well. 3, strike a fine balance between virtual reality and reality. With these technologies, social media included, that enhance our daily lives, we might easily feel distracted by all the tools, all the glamour, all the stimulation that's always available to us. But what's happening too is that our neurochemistry is changing based on our artificial stimulation by all of these external tools. We get dopamine surges every single time we get validation on social media. We might feel this pull to receive attention or to connect with people in a digital environment. What that's doing is it's changing our relationship with time and the sacred values that used to run our world. In the past, people would always enrich their lives with real-world connections, real-life conversations, human touch, connection in all those ways that cannot be achieved via social media or digital interactions. But alas, now this is a preferred option. It seems easier for people to achieve their daily fix of stimulation, happiness, connection, understanding by finding the answers that they're looking for on the internet. However, it's important not to allow ourselves to drown out the deeper needs, which can only be understood if we allow ourselves time away from the digital reality. It's easy to fill any void by moving yourself into an escape route that the digital reality allows for. If we are not hyper aware of how much time we're investing into the digital landscape versus actual reality, we might find ourselves one day moving primarily into a digitized version of ourselves, experiencing the world through the eyes of our digital avatar, because those algorithms that are running the digital environment know us through our preferences, shaped not in real life, but through our relationship with the online medium of exchange. If we find ourselves growing too comfortable with the internet experience of simply exchanging ideas, connections, and finding value through the online landscape, we are going to one day lose our sense of deeper importance, everything that can be accomplished in reality itself. And so right now we're standing at an interesting precipice where we all need to learn to strike a fine balance. So limit your screen exposure. Let yourself find time in nature, separating yourself from all of the digital hype so that you can actually come back to the truth of what your soul wants you to experience. There is no replacement for physical grounding, for rooting yourself in Mother Nature, for breathing in the fresh air, allowing for real movement, real connection, real hugs, and real interaction with the reality that is beyond what a screen can ever provide. 4, engage cognitive flexibility. Whenever something happens to you, you have a choice. You can either succumb to the deterministic singular response that you think that situation must elicit, meaning putting you in a certain emotional state when you think something good or bad is happening to you, or forcing you into an outcome that you feel you have no control over. Or you can choose the route of cognitive flexibility, which is to be adaptable. It's to see that in every situation, you have a choice, which also means that whenever you're exposed to something unpleasant or something that potentially could have a psychological impact on you, you first choose to move into the mode of witnessing your own experience. You can create space in between your observation of a certain event, person, thing, circumstance, and your response to it. That reaction time is ultimately going to determine whether or not you allow yourself to show up consciously, with full consideration of pros and cons, and the opportunities you have to show up soulfully, lovingly, and in an integrative fashion in whatever situation you are contributing to. Choose to go with the flow and engage your intuition to make the best decisions for you, which involves seeking out the opportunity to create a higher sense of alignment by not just going with the immediate instincts of your ego, which often can get you trapped up in a loophole of limitation and past circumstances looping on themselves. Being adaptable in choices means that you might find yourself rapidly shifting in states of consciousness based on your openness. And if you see life ultimately as a mirror of your consciousness, then if you continue to evolve due to the new energy that's permeating the collective constantly, and new feedback that you might be receiving from your higher self, then realize that that's always going to lead to a slight difference in the decisions and choices that you're making on a daily basis. If you're evolving, what that means is that you are choosing to be adaptive. You're choosing to adapt not only to new situations that happen to you, but to the new tendencies of your ever-evolving fluid identity. And so allow yourself to be that fluid self, to choose differently, and to allow yourself to create continuity and divine justice for yourself by creating room for change, improvement, and positive growth in all areas of your life. 5. Make choices. Very often, even when confronted with the perfect opportunity to show up in a powerful way and to make certain choices because the space for them is already there in our lives, we fail to do so. Fear creeps in, doubt, hesitance, a whole myriad of unwanted thoughts might deter us from making the choices that are already right in front of us. The real challenge is when we find ourselves feeling the need for a certain choice, and the mind second guesses it. Maybe you don't feel like you know if that's going to be the right choice, but you feel it deep down. Make that choice. Take risks. Go out on a limb to explore what are the new best choices that you can make for yourself that you feel are most aligned with you on a deeper spiritual level, which will ultimately engage your heart and mind and create that deeper level of resonance and coherence in your life that creates more spontaneity, more joy, more passion, and more commitment to the present moment. This is all about devoting yourself to the most harmonizing experience that you can possibly live when you choose to actually let yourself be your full and true self. So challenge yourself. Allow yourself to exert some of the deeper, enriched aspects of your being by not just ruminating on what's possible for you that may or may not occur when the universe may or may not give you an opportunity to show up in that particular way, but actually create the opportunity for yourself. The more audacious you can be and ready to create these risks, the more willing you will be to allow yourself to choose this highest course of alignment. So we need not wait, but actually start creating this reality that we feel is most aligned with us. 6. Be willing to become an intentional evolutionary. The emergent systems of our world are conducive to totally new ideas, taking form and creating a totally new paradigm faster than ever before. Right now we're living in a time when hierarchies are going to be falling apart. The yin energy, which is the conception point of any new idea that's fertilized to become a totally new way of thinking and feeling in reality, is also gaining shape and form more than ever before. This means that hyper-masculine yang structure is going to be challenged, and all those daring visionaries and changemakers that believe in crazy new ideas that maybe in the past could never have been established now are going to be the ones that become most potent in this new wave of humanity's evolution. So that means if you find yourself at the precipice of choosing a new kind of role, a new position, or feeling that you have certain dormant abilities that need to be unlocked, you choosing to give rise to that potentiality within yourself will likewise create the space somehow in the world around you to show up in that particular way. What you might realize is that there's a very fast, almost instantaneous course of manifestation where there's very little lag time between the inception point of an idea or an opportunity to create that manifested effort and that end result actually transpiring. Because the key is connecting that feeling to the action and actually allowing yourself to become the conscious change maker. When you allow yourself to become the intermediary, which is consciousness itself, you take yourself from the place of disparity, singularity, being a lone agent that's looking for opportunities outside of you, to realizing you are the one that gets to create those opportunities. No longer do you need to wait for anything to allow you to show up in the way that you want reality to look and feel. It is entirely up to us to see that we are those sovereign beings, and we have the power. If we feel that anything is deterring us, that's because we haven't yet fortified that internal place of knowing and certitude within ourselves. And so what's also changing is that this concept of leadership and hierarchy and power struggles and structures outside of us is being interfered with by every powerful individual that's finding the resources within themselves, mainly those intellectual and spiritual ones, in order to create the changes they seek in the world around them. These changes are ultimately reflections of what we are capable of creating through our own individual condition. If you're fantasizing about being a leader, think instead about becoming an intentional evolutionary, meaning you have an intention and you want to commit to the collective evolution. And by allowing yourself to be a part of what will allow humanity to evolve, you likewise create your own evolved effort. So we're really seeing that this is a 2-in-1 experience. No longer are we fighting against certain things in the world or trying to find a place in the workings of the collective outside of us, but we are seeing that we are all these individual lights supporting the Earth grid, playing into the collective noosphere experience, and allowing for harmony to be restored in any way that we see fit. So if you feel like you want to light up a certain opportunity, idea, or experience in the collective mind, see yourself as that light. And as soon as you allow yourself to radiate the truth of your inner experience, you likewise will spark that effort in the world around you. And finally, rule number 7, embrace the unknown and this rapid evolutionary pacing, because it's allowing everything to be new and for the expectations of the past to be erased in almost an instant. Because this rapid pace is forcing us into a mode of dropping the old habits, the old expectations, the old attachments, we're being put into a space in which we're identifying with reality as this kind of superfluous experience, meaning what we experience in reality is entirely based on what we're allowing ourselves to feel in connection to it. If you, for instance, right now are afraid of the collective changes, if you feel it's happening too soon and you're trying hard to control the process, then you're going to feel like that effort to control isn't working out so well, because control is being reckoned with. If you're trying to control, you don't trust that evolution is happening to support the collective awakening process. This is always the case. So if you're expecting positive things, on the other hand, to occur, then that's because you were already contributing positively to the collective evolution. This is kind of a holographic rendering of what our individual hologram is allowing us to create as a part of this collective holographic experience. In a way, our entire reality is a part of a collective dream or a hallucination that we're all actively contributing to. If you think you alone are creating reality, you are right only in the manner of what you are letting yourself perceive through your own individual simulation. But the larger reality is that we are all active co-creators in this collective experience, which means that if you want to feel most connected to the world around you, you must allow yourself to feel not just what you in the past have allowed yourself to experience, but what is actually dawning in this age of Aquarius for the collective consciousness. Those new developments outside of you, if they trigger you, are an opportunity for you to find peace in the opportunity to create change. If you are triggered or negatively affected by anything else that you think is outside of your control, you are now allowed a special opportunity to find it in your heart to integrate and to recognize what is now awakening in you is what's ultimately supporting your own spiritual development as well. If you find it hard to let go or surrender, it's exactly what you're now being tasked to do. To recognize that everything uncertain is allowing you to shift gears and to move into a more transient, observant, and neutral state of being, where no longer do you need to be polarized, because if you try to create this future from a highly biased perspective, you are going to fail. We're all co-creating this reality, and so it is subject to all of our individual interpretations. And yet the most loving interpretation that you can cast into this reality is the one that's going to bring you most joy. And it ultimately comes down to you doing what you love and loving your individual contribution to this collective experience. This is an experience in which we get to either feel victimized because we are choosing not to participate fully, or we engage ourselves in a way that allows us to unlock the most superhuman aspects that are already available to us through deeper perception, awareness, awakening insights, and by receiving new information that will be guiding us through this process, so long as we let ourselves surrender and submit fully to the experiential value that this can all provide. If you allow yourself to go with the flow, there is nothing for you to fear. However, if you feel that you still must somehow control your reality, or if you feel that reality is in any way against you, then what you're going to be awakened to, slowly but surely, is that you are against your own reality. And so your relationship to reality, fortifying that, allowing yourself to be the loving change maker for yourself, is going to ultimately allow you to change the way that the world looks and feels. It's going to allow you to submit to these possibilities in the most grateful way possible, to actually support collective evolution by becoming a part of it yourself.